Technically, your alarm tone is your theme song as it starts every episode. It only takes one slow-walking person in the grocery store to destroy the illusion that you're a nice person. Itchy and Scratchy are animated the same way The Simpsons are. Itchy and Scratchy is photorealistic in The Simpsons universe. So much gore. No one has a Brooklyn accent on the show Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Sometimes you don't realize how wrong someone has really done you, until you're explaining it to someone else or rethinking everything to yourself. You can't feel every hair on your body, but one hair in your mouth is immediately noticeable. General Grievous is probably a really good drummer. Darth Vader is so famous people recognize him simply by breathing. If cigarette companies cured cancer, cigarette sales could increase. Titanic is an old woman telling a story of a time she got banged on a cruise. When people steal cars in a movie, the mirrors and seat are always set perfectly for the thief. No one got taught the game where you make races of raindrops running down the car windows, but we all played it anyways. Human clothes are designed to cover genitals, and dog clothes are designed to not cover genitals. No one has ever chopped off both their hands with a knife. The most popular chair for mobile gaming is a toilet. You're just the last sperm out of billions to die. You know you're fat when you've lost 10 pounds and nobody notices. Most comments are likely deleted before people are even finished typing them because they realize how pointless it is. If short people only dated short people, and tall people only dated tall people, we might see a split of human species into two other species. Lemons, limes, lemon soda, and lemon lime soda all taste completely different. Since animals and plants are mostly made of water, the evolution of all life is really the story of planets developing oceans and then eventually watching those oceans get up and start walking around. If fish screamed and cried when on a hook, spear, or even in a net, the rules of fishing and how they're treated might be a lot different. Gravity doesn't keep you on the floor. The floor stops gravity sucking you down to the planet's core. In the Rick and Morty episode where Rick turns himself into a pickle, he transforms into a literal pickle in order to get himself out a metaphorical pickle. Depression makes you an NPC in your own life. Headphones and earbuds actually make the audio from your device quieter rather than louder. Cigarette smokers might not care about themselves, but cigarette smokers who throw the butts on the ground don't care about anyone else either. If you're murdered, at least someone thought you were important enough to need to not exist anymore. Being able to drink fresh, clean water out of virtually any tap has to be one of the modern world's greatest luxuries. Dogs probably don't mind coronavirus quarantine since they get to spend all day with their owners. Humans are the only species who decided that water was too boring as a beverage to keep us alive. Usain Bolt at his peak would have the fastest car in the Flintstones universe. When a Jedi tries the mind trick on you, they're basically saying he looks weak-minded, I'll give it a shot. A large percentage of socially anxious and depressed people go without help or medication, because they're too socially anxious and depressed to seek help. There's probably a Jake who works at State Farm and has to hear non-stop jokes from customers and wants to die. Feeding seagulls laxatives and watching them defecate on people is one of the very few times when someone is actually doing something for shits and giggles. If women's chests were not required to be covered, there would not be as much lust towards them. General Grievous covered his cough on a ship full of droids. If food was priced at 1 cent per calorie, people would choose to eat healthier food with less calories. Dogs are so loyal to their human that if they could use their own computer, they would have their owner as their desktop background. In Avatar, Jake Sully was promised he'd get surgery to walk again if he completed his mission. His society could grow functioning tissue and control nerve endings wirelessly well enough to create an avatar. Veteran Affairs is terrible 134 years into the future. Every time you fall asleep, you are putting complete trust in your body to continue breathing and functioning normally. Someone, somewhere is currently listening to the last song they will ever hear in their entire life. Extroverts assume everyone thinks like they do. Introverts assume they don't. An average lifespan of a rat is 2 years. So, If Remy from Ratatouille has not written the recipes, the restaurant would probably fail. If you make $50,000/year and have a drink in the middle of a workday, you're an alcoholic. If you make $5,000,000/year and you have a drink in the middle of a workday, you're sophisticated. If the word quarantine was changed to something like relax at home, things wouldn't be that scary. The guy who created this community probably thought of it in his/her shower. Starbursts aren't actually juicy, they just flavor your spit. Because a meteor killed off a dominant species on Earth millions of years ago, wouldn't we be living in a post-apocalyptic world now? Human beings are so social that even if they are all alone, they talk to themselves. If chickens are modern-time dinosaurs, and plastic is made out of oil which is made out of dinosaurs, then if you put dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets in a plastic container, you're storing dinosaur-shaped dinosaurs in other dinosaurs. There are probably some steamers/YouTubers who have made more money playing a game than the creators made selling the game. There's a fairly high chance that you've passed by people who have been in movies, but just didn't recognize them because they were an extra. People like to deny science because it's too difficult for them to understand. Coronavirus started spreading after only one person got affected. A single human can potentially bring the world to its knees without any weapons of mass destruction. Every James Bond has served the same queen. There's an entire generation that doesn't know about the Star Wars vs Star Trek debate because the infighting within the Star Wars fandom is far more prevalent. Someday archaeologists are going to dig up Disney World and think that we worshipped a mouse. If humans grew hair twice as fast, more people would have short hair. Hopefully deaf people get told farts makes a noise early on. Maybe Usain Bolt can run way faster than he does now, but he's holding it in case someone breaks his record. Generally, in sci-fi books and films, all characters who are of the same species and live on the same planet, speak the same language. On Earth, the 7 billion humans collectively speak 6,500 languages. 6 out of 7 dwarves aren't happy. Skeletons would have to brush their whole bodies. If people hesitate from being in a relationship with flat earthers, that's natural selection cutting off stupidity from the gene pool. Medieval people considered themselves just as modern and advanced as we consider ourselves. We are surrounded by ancient giants, but nobody cares because they're trees. If you had to be approved to be a birth parent under the same criteria as to be an adoptive parent, a lot less children would need to be adopted. Parkour is the adult version of the floor is lava. A common myth is, people are rich because of hard work. Yet most hard-working people can't even afford to retire. Humans are technically percussion instruments. If you hit them with a stick, they make a sound. Since all of Deadpool's organs heal after damage, Deadpool definitely has an uncircumcised penis. Technically, a C-section scar is a birthmark. No matter what, pessimists are always either correct or they're pleasantly surprised. A person can leave a TV on a high volume in their room and fall asleep, but if the TV is off and a person in another room has their TV on high volume, suddenly they can't sleep because it's too loud. Dogs probably fetch sticks because they were rewarded for keeping the fire burning since caveman days. The only difference between an omelet and scrambled eggs is whether you fucked up or not. Disneyland is in Los Angeles and Disney World is in Orlando. I'm very grateful that our eyes don't steam up like glasses lenses. Earth is a giant PvP zone where players are collectively working together to make it a PvE zone. Our dogs are legally allowed to pee in more places than we are. When a teacher grades you with an F, they just pay their respects for you being stupid. If a post in unpopular opinion gets into hot, then it's no longer an unpopular opinion. You can't face backwards standing on a staircase. Dogs don't care if their treat is bone-shaped, it's so humans would know it's for dogs. People born on October 10 will turn 10 this year. You can recognize which family members is coming upstairs by the sound of their steps, but you likely wouldn't recognize your own. 4 minutes is specific. 5 minutes is generic. For as far as cell phone technology has come, Auto-rotate has no idea what the hell it is doing. People hate being friend-zoned, but friendships tend to last longer than relationships and they don't end in heartbreak most of the time. When you pay for things with a credit card, you're paying with your future earnings. When you pay with a debit card, you're paying with your past earnings. It's only a matter of time before somebody hates on Guinness World Records for having different male and female records. The Matrix and the Terminator series could theoretically be related, in a world where the Skynet wins and becomes the robot overlords in the Matrix. Things become old and useless, until they become old enough to be ancient and priceless. Darth Vader force-choked people because he was jealous they could breathe properly. Detecting subtle changes in air pressure at up to 20,000 times per second sounds a lot more impressive than hearing. The definition for sandwich is something between two slices of bread, so that makes the pre-sliced bread from the store just a giant bread sandwich or a lot of small ones. Technically everything, trash, cars, buildings, plastic, chemicals etc., on this planet has always been here. It has just changed forms one way or another. Dogs must be bilingual since they understand human commands, but also speak bark. We're probably the first generation who will have the weirdest gravestone writings. Nothing is SFW if you are browsing through random stuff during work hours. With time, painful memories become less painful but embarrassing memories become more embarrassing. The Clone Wars was basically Palpatine pitting his Bionicles vs his army men. If a guy created a virtual world where he could fuck anime chicks, he would basically be Zeus. Once you've had one erection, every one that follows is a resurrection. Mr. Rogers told us to accept our mistakes, but Bob Ross told us there are no mistakes, only happy accidents. Master Oogway, however, told us that there are no accidents.